Sun Group, and the case for a chat here being the digitization impact on subscription revenues, especially in the southern market. You know, the estimates are talking about a double-digit ad growth in FY19. We've already seen players like Zee Entertainment pretty much beat their own benchmarks when it comes to ad growth revenues seen in the quarter gone by. Sun Group, of course, plans to enter new markets. They plan to launch new channels. And we are very intrigued to understand the outlook of Sun Next and the growth plans thereof. Mr. S.L. Narayanan, who's Group CFO, Sun Group, joins in to talk more. Mr. Narayanan, it's been such a pleasure that you could join us this morning. Thanks very much. Good morning to you. It's been a while. So, you know, really want to extend out our thanks for you taking out the time.
Good morning, and thank you very much for hosting me this morning.
Great. Let's start by talking some numbers. I know I don't want to make that the opening question, but even so, your profits were driven by strong performance from IPL. Take us through the outlook in terms of the key highlights in Q1, and more importantly, how much can one extrapolate from the Q1 earnings on how FY19 will look for you?
Yeah, the quarter just ended has been an extremely satisfactory one for us. We've been having the IPL operations as part of Sun TV for almost 5 years, and for the first time we were able to report a very healthy bottom line because, as you know, the media rights went for a record sum. And since much of that gets distributed amongst the franchisees, we had a fairly good turn during the quarter. And we also saw ad revenue growth at close to 20%. I must admit that that was on a low base last year because of various reasons that impacted same time last year. Be that as it may, we did report about 20% ad revenue growth. Our subscription revenues grew by about 16%, helped by the ongoing digitization in Tamil Nadu. I'll come to it in a moment because there is a lot to come in Tamil Nadu on the digitization front. And the third leg was, of course, our the decision by our promoters to cap the remuneration at the previous year's levels. There is a variable component that the promoters take, so we might have had to accrue at a higher rate this quarter, and because of the decisions taken voluntarily by Mr. and Mrs. Maran to limit their compensation, we also had a kicker, which is going to have an enduring impact in the times to come. So that, in a summary, explains what happened in the last quarter.
Okay. Right. SL, morning. Great to have you after such a long haul. You know, I'm going to talk about the concerns here, and the concerns in the market, and which is why I guess there's a bearing on your stock price as well, have been that there's rising competition, stiff competition at that in your core markets, market expansion, and that's really exerting pressure on your margins as well. Are you worried about sustaining margins? What is it that you would have to say to the critics out there?
Yeah, see, there was a bit of a dip in our ratings towards the end of the IPL season, and that's something which is very normal every time the IPL playoffs happen. Around the same time, we did have a bit of a standoff with Arasu, as a result of which connectivity was impacted for a few days. And soon enough, we did come to a resolution with Arasu, and connectivity was restored. So if you look at that unusual week, if I remember, it was the first week of June, and now our GRPs are up 30%, from about 1,000 to 1,300. I mean, it's gone back to where it used to be. So I really think it's a storm in a teacup, and there was much made out of. Even after the so-called fall, the market share was upward of 45%. There is no genre in India which has this kind of dominance by any player. And Tamil being the largest advertising market after Hindi, we believe that we are going to, continue the dominance in the foreseeable future. We will be starting, in fact, using an existing channel which will get rebranded, Sun Life. We'll have an alternate GEC, which will start addressing the youth of the state in the 18 to 30 category with more contemporary programming with a mix of Tamil and English. So we believe that our dominance will get maintained despite the increasing levels of competition.
Note from CLSA this morning, and they're saying that 10% of your revenue actually comes in from the state of Kerala. Given the unfortunate situation over there in that state after the flooding, do you sense that this is going to have a large bearing on the reported numbers for the next quarter too?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be some impact, but it is too early to estimate what that is going to be. As you rightly said, fortunately for us, it is a small proportion of the overall revenue mix. So it may not have a very visible impact.
Morning, Nikunj also joining in. SL, the trend in the media industry is, and we both are part of it, is that we don't know how the OTT way of consuming content will change life for original broadcasters and content providers. What is your sense on the entire OTT structure? And B, at a group level, are you also planning to invest in that category?
Yeah, we have started our own OTT platform called Sun Next, which was sometime in the middle of last year, and we've had some success. It is still expanding, but I'd like to make a distinction here. See, the shift in the West, I mean what they call the cutting of the cord, that happened because there was a huge arbitrage from cable into what they call the OTT. And there was also a shift in lifestyles and viewing preferences, and people stopped watching too many channels and they started consuming in limited quantities at a time when they feel like consuming. So the trend has changed radically in the West, but I believe that it's still some time away, because in India most people still watch together as a family in the evening, sitting around a TV. So my assessment is the kind of shifts that we have seen in the West is still some time away. But just to make sure that we don't miss the bus, we've made that investment in Sun Next, and we would scale it up as and when we believe that the timing is right. Because at this moment in time, it doesn't present a very viable business model. And we don't think one needs to invest ahead of the time in our case.
When you say that the advertising revenue is looking strong, I guess you're in sync with what we heard from Zee and other networks. But when you say the advertising is looking strong, are you confident for next 2 or 3 quarters, or the visibility is there till festival season? What I'm trying to ask you is that we've suddenly seen a big uptick in advertising. But do you think that is just an uptick which came because of seasonal factors, or this is a trend in making?
I think business confidence is definitely at a far higher level this year as compared to last year, because if you recall, post November 2016, in the aftermath of the demonetization, there was a cutback in spending across sectors, across households, and then we had this uncertainty as regards the migration to GST from the earlier taxation regimes. So we had too many discontinuities that impacted business confidence, and I think that's now behind us. We have seen a revival across several sectors, and I do believe that this run-up will continue towards the festival season. And then we've always seen a burst of spending ahead of elections because there's a lot of money supply in the system. I think we will see a fairly strong year in terms of advertising.
Menon, I know you touched upon the whole digitization drive in Tamil Nadu and how it's going to translate into a higher subscriber growth potential. You know, the numbers doing the street are that in terms of the pure additions, you're looking at an additional 85 lakh subscribers coming in on the back of this digitization drive. I'm talking about 8.5 million subscribers. Is that a fair number to go by with?
This is an educated guess. As you know, the cable industry has been notorious for underreporting of numbers. We have only taken some published data from industry reports done by people like KPMG, and we have some data as regards the penetration of DTH. And we also now, starting late last year, seen how many of them have converted to digital cable. So it's a very educated guess at this time, but I think the number is somewhere between 8 to 8.5 million analog subscribers that are waiting to be digitized. And the other reason why we are bullish is we also know the month-on-month addition on DTH, because we raise invoices on people who take content from us, including our associated venture Sun Direct and the likes of Tata Sky, Airtel and Dish TV. So there is a big momentum in Tamil Nadu because of digitization, and this is the only state which has not completed it. Almost the entire Indian Union has gone digital, which is in the best interest of all stakeholders. It increases transparency, it increases tax compliance, and it gives a fair share to the broadcaster who really creates the content. So in my assessment, this entire 8.5 million will be tapped before the end of the current fiscal, and that's going to be very good for us, because Tamil Nadu is the stronghold of Sun TV. Almost every home, it's got one of the highest penetrations of television. I remember reading some industry report that 96% of the homes have cable or satellite, and we have a very, very strong market share in terms of viewership. So we think the rest of the year we'll see some extremely strong numbers on subscription revenues.
We will chat again once you do post those strong numbers. Hopefully it's not going to be such a long hiatus, SL, and we'll see you more often on ET Now.
Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, great speaking with you.